What's up? It's Wednesday, March 8th. Thank you for tuning in to another week from the podcast. It gives you the most honest viewpoints on the week's hottest sports topics. It's episode 90 of the Chasing Points podcast.
Bravo.
I did it.
Yeah, for once, finally.
Brandon.
These reading lessons have worked for you.
Sam Favada. We're here. Episode 90.
Yeah, it's episode 90.
I got the new intro that I didn't write. Right. So kudos to me. What's up, Hayes? How you been, man?
I am good, but I don't even want to small talk with you. I want to know how you are, but I want to get right into this shit. How are you, Sam?
I'm living the dream, my friend. Let's get right into it. Busy day in sports. Recording this Tuesday night, March 7th. So the NFL franchise tag deadline just passed, and the combine is all wrapped up, and we'll get to all that. World Baseball Classic starting,
Right.
And all that. But let's go into the NBA. Memphis Grizzlies guard, I guess he's a guard, right? Ja Morant's gonna miss a couple games after displaying an apparent gun in a video, a live. I think it was a Instagram live stream.
Yep.
And he was at a nightclub early Saturday morning.
He was outside of a nightclub, apparently.
Yeah.
When that happened.
So the NBA is investigating currently. This is not even the first incident that would cause some alarm with Ja Morant in the last month, which is, also concerning.
And, to be fair, the NBA has not stopped their investigation since the previous situation. Yeah. The investigation has been ongoing, but you continue.
Yeah. It's, unfortunate for one of the perennial all-stars, young rising star in this league, and a lot going on. And the Grizzlies, ahead of whatever discipline the NBA may or may not shell out, have suspended him at least 2 games. I think they were very open-ended on that. And there was also reports of a player-only meeting a couple days before some of these incidents, where Steven Adams, the guard for the Grizzlies, kind of got everyone together and made sure that they were much tighter on the road, and we're disciplined, I think was the word. So Hayes,
man in the room.
Yeah. There a lot going on with this Ja Morant saga storyline. What do you think? What's going on?
Said it on here before. I'll say it again. Ja is one of my favorite young players, if not my favorite young player in the NBA. And to see how much this should be a sign to him, and I'm sure he's not thinking about this right now for whatever he's going through and whatever is affecting him to start to do these type of things out of essentially nowhere. But this should show him how much people actually care about him and what he does on the court, because it's not just talked about in the NBA circles. This is been talked about throughout multiple circles. It is, as Sam and I were just discussing prior to starting this is the biggest sports topic right now, period. And it's essentially transcended it. As we know, Twitter can be a great place, but it could also be a cesspool. And I love to go on Twitter to get my information first, because that seems to be where most of this stuff is broken first. And even things that aren't even pertaining to basketball, there's a Ja Morant reference in the comments at some point, somehow, some way, whether a joke or whatever the case may be. It's been referenced in so many different places. I never want to rush to judgment. I think it's stupid what he's been doing. That I'll say, but I don't know what's going on in his life. To see how he started off in this league, which I've seen people on social media, Sam, you've seen this several times, with people like the media is showing only this bad side of Ja, and they're not showing this side. If anybody's running with that narrative, you clearly have not been watching Ja since he's come into the NBA, is because the NBA has been showing all of the good stuff. The bad stuff has been shown by one person and one person alone, and that's Ja. It's not that he hasn't been doing this since he came into the NBA, is as of recent. And it's more so this year.
It's
This season is when
reactionary.
I've heard stuff, right?
Yeah,
And I haven't heard anything prior to that. That doesn't mean that he couldn't have done stuff prior to, but up until this point in time, never heard anything until this season. But then I start to pay attention, and I'm listening to multiple uh, media outlets and social media outlets and people that are within the know, the Stephen A's of the world, the Vince Carters of the world, the Kendrick Perkins, and then other people around in the basketball circle speak about this. And Stephen A said something that stuck out to me, which again, I don't think some of these young players realize, is that the NBA is a multi-billion-dollar corporation that hires off-duty cops, former feds in general, to do background checks on every single player in the league. So they know what you do, when you do, and who you're doing it with, no matter what, because they want to protect the asset. And Ja is one of those assets. But they want to protect the logo, no matter what. Same with the NFL. We've talked about that on here several times, Sam, is they will do whatever. Yep, they protect the shield no matter what. That's the bottom line. We're going to protect this any way that we can. I just truly hope that whatever Ja is going through, he is truly getting help. Like he made a statement on Twitter saying that he's going to get help. I don't know what that looks like. I don't necessarily think it's any of our business, but I hope he truly is getting help. I hope he's able to actually talk to somebody and really work through this. I also hope that the Grizzly organization sits down the whole team and players and tells them to get rid of this fake tough shit that they've been doing. And I'm talking about the Dylan Brooks of the world. I'm talking about the Jaren Jacksons of the world that are quote unquote about that life, or making it seem like that. You are basketball players. Point blank, period. You're basketball players. You may have come from the bottom of the bottom, and that is understandable. Most haven't. Most had either a single parent household that their parent, whether mother or father, sacrificed everything to get you to where you were, or have a household with both parents and they still did the same thing. These are the people that you're fighting for, and you have a chance. Ja has a chance to make $235 million with this contract. Just signed a lucrative deal with Nike. Nike parted ways with Kyrie Irving and pushed you to the forefront, and then you start to do this. And Nike came out and backed them, and I heard people slight them as Nike and Kyrie have had a long history of up and downs. That's a whole nother topic. But I pray that whatever this young man is going through, it gets fixed, because not only will he lose his career, but we will be robbed of his greatness. And that is something that I don't think basketball fans really want to see. And for that, I hope this turns around for him.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I thought what you said was great. You know, like, people care, and the media is being reactionary to what you are doing. And oftentimes people blame the media, but they never, they'll find the story will come out one day, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And there's no story. There's no, it's all just, a narrative, a point of view from the person that is being impacted. I think the thing that Ja Morant is, hopefully, if he didn't already learn this from the incident in Indiana about a month ago, he's learning this now. The league's going to go on without you. You sign that for his age and his contract status, years tendered in the league. He signed a max deal.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the Nike money. I mean, he is for being in Memphis, Tennessee, he is one of the more marketable stars this league has.
Yes, very much so.
And the story of, he didn't get many offers, if any, I believe, on the D1 level. Was playing at Murray State, right?
Mm-hmm.
And became the second pick in the draft behind Zion and in front of RJ Barrett. So, I mean, and it was warranted. If I, you've heard me say a million times, I wasn't bummed that as a Knicks fan that we didn't have the chance to get Zion. I was bummed we didn't get John Morant just because I agree with you. I hold him in such regard as well as a basketball player and the next wave of talent in this league. I think the problem that he's going to face is life comes at you quick.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can ask some of the players that have their own situations, scandals going on, the endorsements leave, you know, and he's potentially facing some, a lifestyle, actions that are worse than not playing basketball too. So I mean, it's the league goes on without you. There's been so many sad cases of players that have surrounded themselves with the wrong people, whether it's family, extended family, friends from home, new friends because of your your new status. And you could see it. I mean, famously, like Allen Iverson was one of those guys. I mean, Trent Richardson from the draft pick from the Colts, right? Like out of the league, paying for like everyone and their mom to, just live this lucrative life, and what's left of him, So it's one of these things where it's just like, it's the company you keep too. So hopefully that gets addressed for his own sake, and the reaction is for the NBA fans' sake as well.
I'm glad you referenced like the Iverson situation.
Yeah, very public situation.
This is one person that I know Ja idolizes because you can look at his game and see that. Like you can look at anybody that's come after Iverson, that there's no way that your game is not influenced by him some bit. If you're a historian of the game, so you should know. But when I say you should know, that doesn't mean that you're not, when you're in the position, that you're not going to repeat the same thing. I think people keep forgetting that, is that you can see somebody do it and know the history about behind all that Iverson went through, but it's easier said than done when you're outside looking in instead of when you're inside looking out. Just think of any relationship you've been in prior to being with your spouse or whatever, or maybe even then, like the advice or the way that you're looking once you're inside the situation and trying to look around is different from being outside and judging and being able to give a non-biased perspective, right? Or to assess the situation. When you're in it, there's emotions involved. There's people that are your boys. They're quote unquote. There's family members that pop up out of nowhere. It's different when you feel like you have to take care of these people, especially if you have a kind heart, right? And if you don't want to let people down. But I really truly hope he understands, like Kendrick Perkins said it. I was so glad he said it. And I know there's many other athletes that can attest to this, is there's a lot of fake friends in there. And when the money's gone, they're gone, right?
Yep. The status, the money's gone.
It's you're the package, right? And at the end of the day, people want a piece of the pie, no matter how they can get a piece of the pie. And once they get their piece, some piece out, right? Once you fail, if you fall flat on your face, they're gone. Only the real ones will be there. You have to differentiate who's real and who's fake. So I just, it's really, for me, like it's I'm speaking with this tone because it really irks the shit out of me, Sam. Like it bothers me because he could be one of the greatest basketball players of all time. And this is the David Stern, Carmelo Anthony conversation of I see what you're doing right now with your career. If you can go one of two ways. If you go that way, you're going to be out of the league looking to get in and you're not pretty much going to get back, or you can come with us and go in the future, which Melo did and end up following David Stern's direction, and he was still staying in the league, and he's Melo, right? But Ja, you just got the bag. You got the bag from Nike. Powerade has you as their athlete, star athlete, which they haven't done in quite some time, put somebody in the forefront of that. You have so many ventures and businesses wanting to have you a part of their brand. This is going to definitely, you're going to take a hit from this, but you can recover from this if you do the right things going forward. And I pray he does.
Yeah, it's a cautionary tale. We've seen it so many times, and whether you're the 12th guy on the bench or you're, you know, perennial all-star, it's, happens. And to the mellow point too, ironically, it was Allen Iverson coming to Denver to
Mm-hmm.
help
Yep.
that
Yep.
situation, right? So the irony is in that situation is not lost on me for sure. But yeah, so for now he is not with the team, I'd imagine, and Memphis is going on without John Morant, and
Yeah.
hopefully again he gets the help he needs and is put in this situation he needs to succeed and thrive. And certainly there'll be a lot of people pulling for him, but same time, just very concerning behavior, especially from any athlete, any person, but not what you want. But hopefully, he's seen the light, or has helped
Yeah. We hope.
get to that point. Yeah. So I mean, switching gears, staying in the NBA, we'll do some more NBA right now. Lakers star has a tendon issue in his right foot and will be reevaluated in 3 weeks. LeBron James. LeBron.
Yes.
Yeah. Great notes.
You should
I'm
have
reading it.
this.
Sorry, man. I'm reading it. I'm like, wait, Lakers star who? LeBron's expected to miss a couple weeks, a couple more weeks than initially reported with a tendon issue here. And this comes at a time when the Lakers are only just one game out of the playing game. So here we are, another pivotal moment in recent Los Angeles Laker history, and we are asking ourselves once again: can AD, Mr. Glass, as you call him, step up?
Street clothes.
Pretty close. So what do you think? LeBron, again, so to reiterate, because I'm confused, he's going to be reevaluated in 3 weeks and take it from there. Initially, it was just 2 weeks. So this, if you know anything about these kind of issues, and certainly the status of athlete that LeBron is, it's going to be way more than 3 weeks. It's, and we're coming to the end of the basketball season here. What do you think of the Lakers? Again, one spot out of playoffs, or their playoff chances dwindling? Can AD and some of the new additions on this team, keep the ship afloat, if you will?
I mean, I think they potentially can. AD has actually stepped up, and has been what I think we all thought he could potentially be. I mean, when AD's healthy, he is top 10 player in the NBA when he's healthy, which is, well, apparently you hear my dog going crazy. So there's that too. Nice little guest appearance by him. Um, when he's healthy, it's night and day. Like he is extremely hard to stop. He can shoot from the perimeter. He can stretch the floor. But what happens there is that AD needs to stay healthy. It's really that simple. So it's great right now. What it's looking to be, it's great right now. But I don't know what is going to transpire, because also deloading is out. So we'll have to see what happens. But I don't know. I don't know if they can make the playoffs. They beat the Warriors even with Steph dropping. I think it was 32. Sunday was a great day for basketball.
Totally.
But I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think you nail it on the head. It's been the narrative with Anthony Davis for years, right? Even in New Orleans, can Anthony Davis stay healthy? I mean, the talent is there, the makeup is there. He is, he's got Hall of Fame talent, but he needs to be able to stay on the floor, and that hasn't been something that he's been able to do. But when the ball does go through him, and when he needs to be that dude, he can be that dude. I just, don't know if that's you know, if that's plausible right now, just based on, you mentioned D'Lo being hurt, and LeBron. And it's again, it's open. It's right there. They're 31 and 34, tied with the Jazz record here. The Pelicans are also 31 and 34. So there's still some basketball left to be played. They need to stay afloat, and you want to be able to host a home game in some of these playing games, but more importantly, you want to make the playing game. So this could get ugly fast, or it could be a nice little story and run for the Lakers here. What else is new, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Just so we'll keep everyone updated on that, and as we always do. But another big story, if it's not LeBron dominating talk on this podcast, it's certainly these two, right? Kevin Durant and Kyrie, their new teams, the Suns and the Mavs, played a game, and the Suns won 130 to 126. So what are your thoughts on the game? It's one of the first games that KD had in his new uni, and Kyrie's looked really good with Luka. A nice 1-2 punch in that backcourt. So thoughts on your two former
Sam's so
players.
ready to talk about football. He's talking about backfield. It's that game. If you didn't get an opportunity to watch that game this weekend, you missed out on a phenomenal basketball game. And this is my favorite time of the year for the NBA. The second half of the season has a lot of playoff implications. And this is no slouch of a game, as they saw each other in the playoffs last year. And there was a lot of chippiness between Luka and D Book. That continued, which I'll get to that in a second. But to have Kyrie and Kevin Durant now inserted into this budding rivalry, it was cool to see. It was cool to see. Being that KD dropped 37, D Book dropped 36, Luka dropped 34, Kyrie dropped 30. Like, that's, just think about that. That is literally over 100 points by 4 players, 4 perennial all-stars. And to see that matchup, and I didn't even mention Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton. Like, I didn't even mention those two. But just to see how this could be a playoff matchup, and this could be very, very intense. And now adding former teammates who, by the way, have not spoken since being traded. Kyrie asked for the trade first, as the Nets were finally starting to get their feet under them, their legs under them, and then gone. And then KD asked after, which I don't think we really talked about, after getting Breanna Stewart to come to New York. KD goes,
thanks for that, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that, KD. We'll take it. But they haven't spoken during the game. Normally in warm-ups, and you say stuff. When you come out on the court, people dap each other up. I watched Kyrie walk right on the court and didn't say anything to Kevin. Kevin didn't say anything to him. When the game was over, they didn't say anything to each other. Apparently, from Wendy, Brian Windhorst, during timeouts, no cameras, they were standing right a foot away from each other, apparently, and didn't even say anything to each other. So I don't. I like it for like rivalry purposes now that they're, in the West together, and this is Kyrie's first time playing for a team in the West, but they've played against each other pretty much their whole entire career, so this is nothing new. But now they're just going to see each other a lot more. Whether they talk to each other again, who knows? I don't really care. I just want to see good basketball, which is exactly what we got to see.
Yeah, it was a fun game, and certainly a rivalry that had a lot of implications last year, right? Luka, Jalen Brunson, with taking the Suns deep into that playoff series. So, new talent there, Hall of Fame talent, and should be a fun playoffs, especially in the West. I'm excited, and again, we've kind of talked about it all season. Now you wake up and there's a new order in the West, right? There's the standing shuffle every other day. So right now the Suns are in fourth, Mavs right in seventh, so they would host one of those playing games there. You know,
which would be
good to see.
interesting.
Yeah,
That Luca D book situation. I I had to text Harrison and Dame. Shout out to them because we were all watching it in our separate places. But D book after after Luca tried to make a shot on Kevin Durant, missed it. Kevin Durant got the rebound. D book came down and was talking to the ref, and then Luca looked up at him and D Book said something to him, and then Luca went and got up in his face, put his forehead to forehead. This stems back to last year in the playoffs, and I'm sure everybody. I mean, they like each other, they like playing against each other as basketball, but in the heat of the moment when it's playoff push, there's no friends, and I love seeing this because it just reminds me of the type of basketball that we grew up on in the early '90s, and seeing that. To be fair, this is not that type of basketball in totality. They're mostly all friends, but I love seeing little mini rivalries or the competition when it's crunch time. So pretty cool.
yeah, again, it's just gonna be fun. Kind of does bring you back that little bit of edginess from you know, games long ago at this point. Completely a different type of game now with the evolution of the 3-point shot and just spacing the floor, and you got your big guys winning 3-point contests and whatnot. So it's certainly a different game, but it's fun to see a little physicality, in especially in the post and around the perimeter there too. So it's been fun. So um I wasn't aware of this next thing, this tweet from LeBron James that you made great notes today, by the way. You did a great job.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
So LeBron
You
had
hear
a
that,
dream.
everybody? He basically saying I don't do good notes any other time. Continue with La Dream.
Yeah, he had a dream. Did he call it a dream? Because that's
I
funny.
called it La Dream.
Man, you're crushing it today.
You know,
So this is LeBron's tweet from the other day. I have no idea. Just woke up having a dream that MJ and I was shooting the shit back and forth at the men's national championship game between North Carolina and Duke. Great vibes and an epic classic game. It was tied 94-94 with 5 seconds left. North Carolina had the ball, and then he woke up to go to the bathroom. How's that game end, Ace?
Well, I hope how it ends is that North Carolina wins by a buzzer beater, so it can just rub it in forever. That's how I hope it would end. Since we don't know how it end, I'm sure LeBron would hope that would be the same for Duke. But I think the more interesting part to me about this is him saying he had a dream with MJ and himself sitting together at the national championship. The reason why I say that and why it was the biggest part to me is it's been reported on so many times of how they don't really have a relationship like that. Like you'll see MJ has, and as of recent, and I'd say more so since Kobe has transitioned, that they dab each other up. It's always respect for each other's game and whatnot, but LeBron has always looked up to MJ, right? He's just like Kobe did. It was different with Kobe. Kobe played against MJ, right? He didn't back down from him. So MJ looked at him as his little brother. But I know LeBron longed and has longed to want to be, and that's the only, I think, player he's really wanted to really build a relationship. He'll never say it. But the fact that he had a dream that those two were sitting together was really, really cool to see. And that would be a great game to be there for. I mean, I would pray North Carolina won because it'd be bragging rights forever, even though we do have bragging rights against Duke now because we beat them in tourney. But,
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
I
But yeah,
I think the interesting thing here is that it's assuming here that LeBron is cheering for Duke. He always kind of said that he'd go to Ohio State if he went to college. But
no,
no, he's mentioned that
nope,
before. Nope, he's
nope.
mentioned it before, but we all know he would play for Coach K.
Nope.
A
He
million times.
literally just sat there with Coach K on All-Star break and said, I absolutely would have played for you if I went to college, right?
Yeah, that's now on the All-Star break, but like years past, he's always mentioned Ohio State.
And he's always mentioned Duke too, which is what I'm trying to tell you, because he always wanted to play for Coach K, just like Kobe wanted to play for Coach K. It's been, for some reason, Coach K has this thing over these players. Obviously, he's not coaching there anymore, which is why Duke is also not where they are, even though they just beat my Tar Heels. But yeah, he wanted to play there. I mean, he's also a hometown boy, so I know he would be torn to play that, but I know he wanted to play for Duke really, really bad. He just, yeah.
Okay. I just won't talk anymore.
I mean, you can. This is a podcast, right? This is where we're supposed to.
Is that what we're doing here?
Don't get soft on me. Don't get soft on me now. Let's go. Come on.
Whatever, man. Hey, Selection Sunday is on Sunday. Do you care?
You know I care.
Yeah,
and
man.
I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the tourneys that are coming up. Excited to see who the first four in the four number one seeds, the four number two seeds, to see what's going there and the sleeper teams. I'm telling you right now, if Iona wins the MAC, watch them, because they are coached by Rick Pitino. So watch them.
That is true. Look at you giving Coach K love. Now you're giving Rick Pitino love.
Yeah, a little bit. Maybe.
Who is this guy? Who's this guy I'm hosting this podcast with?
I don't know. I'm surprised you're talking, because you said you weren't going to talk.
Okay.
Yeah. See, told you. Take shots back.
Okay. I won't say anything. I don't know. It's just the Brandon Hazelwood experience show.
Sam's got his panties in a bunch. He's got his period. I'm sorry, everybody.
Wow.
Continue.
That's aggressive.
No, you can deal with it.
No, I that's offensive.
Oh my God.
I'm offended. No, I'm serious.
Yeah, right.
Transitioning to the to the NFL. It was tag deadline day, 4:00 Eastern, a couple hours ago, and a lot happened. I thought it was going to be a kind of, an interesting day, but then this all happened. Lamar Jackson could play for another team. It seems more likely now than it ever has, as the Baltimore Ravens placed a non-exclusive franchise tag on the star quarterback, former MVP. So essentially what this means, it's kind of like an offer sheet in the NBA. So Lamar and his team can look for a new team to play with, negotiate with a new team. And, the Ravens have the right to match whatever offer Lamar gets. And if they do not match, they get 2 first-round picks from that team. So certainly, a lot of speculation here. What could be next? Atlanta was mentioned, and the Falcons. It was reported, I saw from ESPN, that the Falcons aren't looking into that at the moment. But who knows what's really going on? I don't know if everyone really expected this to happen. But what do you think? What do you think's next for Lamar? Because it's interesting that the Ravens kind of let the rest of the league try to fix this relationship, if you will.
I hope Lamar leaves.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I hope he leaves after all of this back and forth BS, him betting on himself. I just hope he leaves. I just don't understand how you don't deem that he deserves that guaranteed money compared to what the landscape is, compared to the people that got higher guaranteed money than him. I'm talking about the Deshaun Watsons of the world, the Kyler Murrays of the world. Neither of them have done more than Lamar in the NFL. Period. Both of them have had their own issues that have spilled out into the media. When's the last time you heard any public issues about Lamar Jackson, Sam?
I mean, I don't know.
You don't know because there hasn't been any.
Right.
That's right. You don't know because there hasn't been any. That's my point.
You could decipher a lot of it just being agent talks, or kind of just news leaking out, or a lot of speculation, but there's no concrete.
Well, that's not even where I'm going with it. What I'm saying is Kyler Murray, you had the gaming situation, him not studying. Deshaun Watson, we had the massage situation, right? And with Lamar, we haven't heard anything negative about him except for the spins that certain people in media put on him about his play and the anonymous coaches that won't put their name to any of the things that they say about him, right? So I hope he finds a team. I mean, right before we got on here, the Falcons have stated they're out on Lamar, which I don't know if that's a tactic to to not show their cards yet. I don't know if that's a tactic or not, but to say that you're out when you got rid of Mariota and you have was it Riddler, right?
Desmond Ritter. Yeah.
Ritter, there you go. Riddler. Yeah, I don't know. I just hope he goes somewhere else. I don't think I feel like they're gonna wait to see what another team offers and then see if they really want to match, which to me, if I'm Lamar, is like you have to wait to watch another team say this is what I'm worth for you to match it. For me, if I'm in his position, I'm like, okay, I'm gone. I don't need to be here. Even though I know he wants to stay there in a relationship he's built, but like we said at the top, this is a business. This is you just got to do what you got to do for yourself.
Yeah, it's, could understand both sides being coy, with this situation. And it goes to Lamar not, kind of playing without a deal, a future
Mhm.
deal, getting hurt. Still, it doesn't really seem that it's impacting this situation. And, I think we both hold Ozzie Newsome, Eric DeCosta, the Ravens front office from at least a historical perspective as a greatly run organization, top tier run organization in this league and in
Yes.
sports. It's just I'm not taking their side. I'm not. I'm just like, what don't we know? Like, what's really causing this? Like, is it they just don't believe in Lamar as a quarterback? They don't think he could hold up with this frame. Obviously, he has been hurt a lot. But it's just really confusing because this is just a dynamic player that you talk about needing to game plan against. This is the top percentile of that. Like, this is that dude. And they haven't really surrounded him with at least the offensive weapons.
Yeah.
The line has been shoddy at times, but I just, like, what don't we know about the situation? Like, it's not like is something going on that we don't know of? Is there like a report or behavior or something happened? Or is it just like coy business? And that's fine too, because you mentioned it is a business. You know, Aaron Judge, we were all, a lot of people were really worried for a long time. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course, now you get paid $300 million. You're named the captain of the Yankees, and he says he doesn't want to. He was never going anywhere. And that may have been the point, and we all may have just looked way too much into a certain situation, and that being one. But this, I think, this is a lot more than that. Like, there's something going on, and it's just surprising knowing what we know about the Ravens.
It's you bring up a very very valid point, and I've been trying to figure this out forever, and I'm sure I'll never get the answer. But like, why are you so against paying him guaranteed money to keep him? Like, do you not see him in your future? Because everything you guys keep saying to the public is, we want Lamar to be here. We've offered him a contract. We want him to be here. We're gonna do whatever. Ozzie said it today. He was like, we're gonna do everything we possibly can to really try to get this and keep him here and pay him essentially money. And it's like, okay, but he's told you what he wanted, like on so many occasions. To reference your point, Aaron Judge said what he essentially wanted before the season started. Cashman didn't meet that. Aaron Judge came back at the end of the season and said, yeah, I want this, 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 this. Give me the whole Yankee Stadium as my name on it too. I need a
He had
suite.
one.
I need all this. And they're like, you know what? Here, right? You
He had
had to
one of the
sit
best
there.
seasons of all time.
Yeah.
He bet on himself, and it worked out.
I think in this day and age of where we watch teams ship off players, right, in a heartbeat to do something to prepare for their future later on down the road. I think these players really need to take, when they have an opportunity to do what they need to do, they should, right, and keep the ball in their court and do and move the way that they want to do. Because if Lamar is not living up to their standard, how quick would they ship him off, Sam? In a heartbeat, right? So I don't. Lamar's done everything right. They haven't won. He's gotten hurt. I get that, but he balls out. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and has been mentioned in the MVP conversation damn near since he came into the league every year. So why are you not paying him? That, I guess, we'll never ever know.
I think to my something earlier I said too, it's almost like the best case scenario for Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they just tagged him and he was not allowed to, he was basically either sign the tag and was a Raven next year, or he didn't, and I'd assume he just couldn't play. I don't really know like what would happen if that was the case, but I'm assuming that's it. By signing this like non-exclusive tag here, his agents are able to find a better deal, and the Ravens still get something. Now, and 2 first-round picks is a good haul, but he, on the open market, I mean, we saw what Deshaun Watson got, and with all those, everything else going on in his personal life, and not even talk about the guaranteed money. I'm talking about the draft capital.
Yeah.
So if the Ravens just tagged him and wanted to trade him, they'd probably do better than 2 first-round picks. So it's kind of like, all right, man, we can't figure this out. Maybe you could be happy somewhere else, or someone else will listen to you or believe in you. But it's be interesting to see. How do you think this kind of ends? Where's Lamar playing football next season?
Sam, you need some coffee today?
Dude, it's been a long day.
Where he ends up, it's a very, very intriguing question. I really don't know. If Atlanta is truly out, I could see Miami. I mean, he's a Florida boy. And I know that's the team that's kind of flirted with it. I know Tua's there, but if you're telling me that I have an option to have Tua or Lamar, I'm taking Lamar 100% of the time. So that's just me, because that ends up being the fastest offense that we probably will ever see in our life.
It already is. It's already up there.
So very true. Very true.
Adding him, I mean, Tua's not really
it'll be nuts.
A Russian quarterback. So to add that, yeah. Oh
with
man,
with McDaniels, or what's his name? Right,
McDaniel.
Yep. With him, with him game planning for that, and you can't game plan for Lamar. So that'll be interesting. So I think where do you think, if anywhere he goes, where he would go?
I think it's interesting because, I mean, to our next news topic we'll bring up in a second, like it reported today that Jets brass is literally flying to Green Bay tonight to talk to Aaron Rodgers, and the Packers basically gave Aaron permission to start figuring his future out if it is with another team outside of Green Bay. And if I was talking to our friend Dave, who's on this podcast every now and then and works for Sports Illustrated, and he basically said I would turn that plane around, head down to South Beach or wherever Lamar currently is, and that would be my best case scenario as a Jets fan too. I would happily take those, give away those draft picks and try to build a team around what Lamar Jackson can do, and I would excite me. But as a Jets fan, it would scare me to have him play in our division in Miami. But I really think Miami's the best fit for him, and I'm a fan of Tua. I'm a fan of Tua. I know he gets a lot of hate, but
I don't even think now, Pat, it's the part of, like, I think prior to the season, Tua got hate. I think now it's more concern than hate for Tua now.
Yeah,
because we don't know. I don't want Tua's brain to be mush after he's done playing football, and if my man keeps getting concussed the way he is, he's going to need a lot of medical attention once he leaves the NFL. But you know what? Enough of that.
Dude, he was in the concussion protocol I mean, up to like the Super Bowl, and he got hurt in like week 15 or 16. I mean, this is like his second or third concussion this year. There's concern there, but it's always been, you know, always wanting to move away from Tua. From when he was drafted and Brian Flores, like what did Brian Flores see? Like what's the situation there? I don't know if he escapes that narrative, even if he plays 17 games next season, you know. But
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, we'll see.
we'll see. But Sam, I'm
Yep.
not letting you lead in on this one because I want you to sit back and take the seat. Just sit there and relax for a second because this is all about you. This next part, and you might feel like you've been concussed with all the news about this. So today, Dan Graziano, Trey Wingo, and multiple other sources have said that the Packers, the Jets, and Aaron Rodgers are in talks with one another. Sam, you just said that you just like Dave said, he would take this plane and fly down to South Beach or wherever Lamar is in Florida and have a conversation with him instead. But that doesn't seem to be the case, at least right now. It looks like the Jets passed up on Derek Carr, who signed with the Saints, which we'll get more into shortly. But now it seems like they're all in on Rodgers. Sam, I've been watching this, and I think about you and Mike Greenberg every single time I hear news about the Jets, because you two are, and Harrison is a Jets fan as well, but you're way more of a Jets fan than Harrison is.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. I continue to watch this and wonder what's going through your head. And I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, and I want to hear what you say and see if what I've been thinking is somewhat close to what I've been thinking that you've been going through. Because if this was me before the Eagles had Jalen Hurts or before they had Carson Wentz, and this was my situation, I'd have a bunch of emotions. And the reason I'd have a bunch of emotions is because it's Aaron Rodgers, who is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. But also, Aaron Rodgers is coming with a lot of luggage of his own doing.
Yeah.
All right. And what is going to probably cost for Aaron Rodgers is going to be a lot for the Jets to mortgage off with the young core that they're building now. So I'm going to shut the hell up. And I want you to tell me where you think this is going to go and play out in the days, because I'm sure we're going to find out by the end of the week, if not within the next couple of days, of what is going to happen with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I think it's something, right? You said you'd be really emotional if this was, if the Eagles were doing this pre Jalen and, having to deal with Carson Wentz and then Nick Foles and all that stuff. But I am so like just beat down by this team. And every, so often you get a glimmer of hope. I jokingly said when Sam Darnold was drafted, like I cried. I don't think I did. I cried when my son was born. Sam Darnold was drafted first, and I was just happy that he would be able to have a franchise quarterback, right? Didn't happen. So get happy, you're happy. All right, let's do this again, Zach Wilson. And there's been Mark Sanchez trading up for Mark Sanchez and Chad Pennington and Kellen, what's his name? Kellen Clemens and everybody in between, like Brooks Bollinger. There's been a million quarterbacks. Not that I thought any of them were better than, the others, but I just want to win. And I'm not a fan of Aaron Rodgers. If you've listened to this podcast for 89 other episodes, you would know how we feel about Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers, the amount of attention he already gets in Green Bay, Wisconsin, you put him in New York City, I think he's going to get irritated really quick. He just seems like a really unhappy person in general. And, I'm not one to speak on stuff like that. Ultimately, I don't care, but I just want to win. I'd rather have Lamar. I got really worried when Derek Carr left. I'd rather have Derek Carr because I don't know how long Aaron Rodgers would give us if he even wants to play. And that, obviously having to take on that money, I don't know how that would all work. I think it would hurt Green Bay trading him away more than it would hurt the Jets. But the Jets also have to pay a lot of these young players in a couple of years, so I'm not that worried about not having another first round pick. I'd much rather have Aaron Rodgers in that regard. But I think if Aaron Rodgers plays football in 2023, he's going to play in New York at this point. And he could also say after Lamar gets a new deal somewhere else that he's going to retire. And that's ultimately my biggest fear is like, all right, who's left? Is Jameis Winston or Jimmy G going to be the quarterback for the Jets? And I was excited about Jimmy G when it became clear that he's the odd man out in San Francisco because we ran a similar offense, but Mike LaFleur is not here anymore. Not that I think Mike LaFleur is so great, but I do like the Shanahan offense, and to have someone like Jimmy G be able to just do a little bit more than manage it is, just kind of all I'm asking for. We have a great running game, great defense. This team's ready to win, and if it's Aaron Rodgers that takes us over the hump for 2 years, then I'll sign up for it. But I'm also just worried that we're on the outside looking in of this whole thing because that kind of just seems like the old Jets way. Not necessarily the Joe Douglas way, but the old Jets way. So, yeah, ultimately now with everything left on the table, I'd want Lamar, but if that doesn't work, then Aaron Rodgers is the guy for me at least. But I just want to win, man. I'm so beat down by all this for 20 years, 30 years, haven't made the playoffs in 10 years. I'm ready.
I watched this, and again, I try to put this as if I'm an Eagles fan in the Jets fans' place. I wouldn't want this to happen for my franchise because of all that comes with Aaron, the indecisiveness that we don't know if he's going to play year in, year out. And it's ironic that he didn't want to be in Brett Favre's shadow, and looks like he continues to be in Brett Favre's shadow, literally doing the exact same thing. So I would not be surprised if he ends up with the Vikings after leaving you guys. But we'll see what happens with that. But I, honestly, if I was Joe Douglas and the rest of the Jets organization, if I'm gonna forfeit 2 first-round picks, shit, I might as well call the Bears and trade with them and get Bryce Young. I might as well go and get one of those young quarterbacks in that situation. Yeah, they're not Aaron Rodgers, they're not proven, right? But I'd much rather do that if I'm going to mortgage off those things. Yes, with Aaron, you could potentially get a ring right away. But Aaron has been with the Packers, who have had a Super Bowl contending team for years, and he's only got 1 ring.
Yeah.
1. To your point, when I saw Derek Carr go off the board to the Saints, I said, well, that's a mistake. If I'm the Jets, I would be like, oh, okay. Hey, Siri. Thank you. Everything just going crazy over here.
Your place is the place to be, man.
Apparently
What's
so.
going on over there?
Dog talking, Siri talking. It's crazy. I would have tried for Derek Carr, just like you said. I would have. But even to this point, like to Dave's point, and probably where your heart's at, I'm trying to offer Lamar something because he's younger, he's electric, he's gonna be around, he wants to get paid, he's not going anywhere, he wants to play football, and he adds something different that Aaron can't add, which is his legs, and that is something that you can't control it at all. So, Sam, I will say I pray for you.
It's it's just something like, yeah, going. It sounds good. Like, just go get Bryce Young, go get Anthony Richardson, C.J. Stroud, Levis. Like, we could have that conversation. I'm just, dude, we've done it. It's Zach Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, I this franchise has been sold cap space for years. And then it was, look at all these draft picks we have, and Sam Darnold's the future. And then it's, we're Mekhi Becton, we're going to build around this kid, and all these different things happening. And it ends up, not nearly coming close to what we all think it's going to be. And sure, this fan base can uh, you know, get off the rails pretty quickly too, but it's time. Like, the defense is that good. Like, our
Yeah,
defense is that
it
good.
really is.
And hopefully Brees Hall comes back at what we saw last year. It may take a little bit. I mean, ACLs are interesting. It took AP, what, 7 months to come back, and
Yeah.
Saquon wasn't right for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, you never know, but let's just be hopeful there. But I just want to win. Even with Brett Favre, you knew, like, he basically couldn't go to Minnesota, unless he had to, like, sit out for a year. So that's
Yeah.
why he went to the Jets. And we all knew that was what was going to happen. I just don't know. I'm like, I wouldn't want this situation either for my team, because I just have a feeling in 2 years we're going to be back to square one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I totally understand that point there. So yeah, by this time next week, it could be a, whole new landscape in the quarterback carousel and what's going on with these teams. And a good question we asked all off season too was, what do the Giants do? They didn't pick up the 5th year option on Daniel Jones. New head coach, new general manager, new players around him. Uh, can Daniel Jones be that dude? Who do we tag, him or Saquon? Both free agents at the end of the year. And it came down literally to the wire, but Daniel Jones avoided getting tagged today and signs a 4-year, $160 million deal with the New York Giants. So here we are in the year of our Lord 2023, and Daniel Jones is making 40 million a year. Like, if you told me that 4 years ago when he was drafted, I don't even know what I would have said to you. But here we are. Saquon's going to get tagged for a little under $11 million, and hopefully they'll, for his sake, they'll try to work out a longer deal there. But thoughts on the Giants and the future of the Giants under center with Daniel Jones?
This just sounds like I'm baited into this. um, if I were a Giants fan, I'd be I'd be happy because of what we saw this last season, this season that just ended. But I also would be reminded of all the years prior to that. And maybe he's taken a turn and he didn't turn the ball over this year, and he's progressing. Maybe he's becoming what Daniel Jones was supposed to be. Maybe. I don't know if I give him this contract. I know you have to secure it. I mean, what were the Giants really going to do? Right.
Yeah,
When it comes to quarterback, that's
right.
that's kind of, to me, it's what were they really going to do? What were their true options here? So I think they did what's best for them. And I think sometimes we need to realize that we're looking at the Daniel Jones contract and we're saying, like, wow, really? Like, as a fans of other teams looking in, but what were the Giants really supposed to do here? He had a good season. They got to the playoffs. First year with Brian Dable. Saquon had a bounce back year. You want to kind of keep that core intact to see what it could be next year. Like, was this year just a fluke, or can we build upon that next year? Right. To see, it's different when players have multiple years under the same coach. It's a different type of trust, a different type of operation because you're able to utilize more of the playbook because you understand the personnel differently. So to me, Giants really had no other place to go, Sam. That's really it.
It's interesting because they were in a tough spot with Daniel Jones in the quarterback position to begin with. They, Joe Sheen and Brian Dable take over. They don't pick up Daniel Jones's fifth-year option, which would have been next year. So they would have had him for like $20+ million, whatever that ended up being. So they're like, okay, prove it. And he had moments, but statistically, he doesn't jump off the page. I mean, he had a lot of rushing yards, but he played just well enough to force the hand of the Giants because what were they going to do otherwise? I mean, in hindsight now, just a few hours earlier, Lamar Jackson could have been available. And that was a rumor all throughout the season that they were interested. I mean, if you need a quarterback and you're not at least calling the Ravens or Lamar Jackson's agent right now, that's
what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? Or what do you know that we don't know? But here he is making $40 million a year, and that's just behind Matthew Stafford, Dak Prescott, Josh Allen's making 43. Patrick Mahomes is making 45, Deshaun Watson 46, Kyler also that number, and Aaron Rodgers and Russ are near 50. Just if you look at AAV, so
82 million, 82 million guaranteed, and
Yeah.
up to 35 million in incentives for him too. So
I just we made fun of Kirk Cousins for years for just being that average quarterback, but that was all guaranteed money. This is like the new the new Kirk Cousins contract here. It's just like he played just well enough. I would rather have Kirk Cousins
ooh, wow.
than Daniel Jones.
Okay.
I
wouldn't. That's saying a lot. I wouldn't. I can't stand Kirk Cousins, and I could care less about Daniel Jones. I just think
I will say Daniel Jones did what he needed to do by protecting the football. It wasn't fumbling as much, wasn't throwing as many picks, was making better decisions, was certainly using his legs.
That's the key. Yeah.
I just think, Kirk Cousins is, I don't know. I'm rescinding that comment. Let me think about it. I'm rescinding it.
I'm sitting here just like, Sam, you've seen more than enough of Kirk Cousins in prime time and in playoff situations, and that's who you're going with. Hey, listen,
out of the two,
to each his own, brother. I don't know where Daniel Jones is gonna go. I know what I'm getting with Kirk Cousins. I'm gonna get a decent season, and then when it comes to the time that I really need you to step up, pick City and not being clutch. That's what I do know. So
there you go. Yeah, you're right. I rescind my comment. So let's move on. 4-time Pro Bowler Derek Carr, as we just mentioned, 4-year, $160 million contract. Or is it 150 or 160? I don't know, but he signed with the Saints, $100 million guaranteed. The Saints, finally have a stability, if you will, at the quarterback position. There's no more Jameis Winston. You hope that they're not doing the Taysom Hill experiment anymore. Andy Dalton is not the future of this team. I also saw an interesting fact that the last quarterback the Saints drafted in the first or second round was Archie Manning in the 70s.
Wow.
Yeah. I think Adam Schefter posted that after the Derek Carr contract. So I like the move for the Saints in the sense of like, all right, what better were you going to do at this position? Like it for the weapons on that team. I don't know how long Michael Thomas has left on this team, but Chris Olave, Tre'Quan Smith, certainly Alvin Kamara. That's stock's all up there. But it was interesting. I shared this with you after he signed his the odds in Vegas for the Saints winning next year's Super Bowl remain the same after the news of Derek Carr. So we'll tell you what Vegas thinks. What does Hayes think about the new quarterback on Bourbon Street?
They're winning the South. There's no way they're not winning the South.
That's a great point.
They're winning the South, and that's in part to Tom Brady retiring. So there's that. Um, but B, I don't. I like Derek Carr as a man. I respect Derek Carr and what he stands for, and
Totally.
and how he speaks. I respect him for that. When's the last time you won a playoff game? Never,
Has he really never won a play?
never,
I
Sam.
know that every time I feel like I saw the Raiders in the playoffs, he was hurt. Like it was always like a backup quarterback. Yeah.
Zero
Yeah, I
playoff
think you're right.
wins.
Yeah, because he lost to the Bengals last year. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Zero.
That was after that crazy game to end last season too against the Chargers.
Yes. See, but I say zero playoff wins, but he was with look at who his coaching staff was while he was there with the Raiders. The Raiders have not been a stable organization for a while, in my opinion. And that's sad because the black hole is a very, very big when it comes to the NFL. And that's unfortunate because that is a huge fan base. But I need to see more from Derek Carr. And this is a chance to prove people wrong. And I'm all about proving people wrong. So he's got the weapons around him. I don't really truly believe in Dennis Allen, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, Sam. But I guess we'll just see where it goes. I'm here for the experiment.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of Dennis Allen either, but here we are. And the point of no Tom Brady. So like who's currently the Bucks quarterback? Kyle Trask. Maybe
Yeah.
Sam Darnold gets
Yeah.
re-signed in Carolina, and then you have Desmond Ritter because I believe Marcus Mariota was cut. So
He
yeah,
was.
the South is totally up for grabs. I like what the future of some of these teams could be, especially Frank Reich in Carolina, with that defense, of course. But even though he's an offensive guy, but yeah, it's theirs for the taking here if they can continue to play
Mm-hmm.
how they've played for sure. But
Yeah.
we'll see there. Speaking of another guy who got paid after posting a great year, Geno Smith staying with the Seahawks. If you told me this 10 years ago too, I'd be like, what? Signed a huge deal with the Seahawks for I think it was for 4 years, 3 or 4 years. And even Pete Carroll today did not rule out drafting a quarterback with the, fourth or fifth pick. I think that a lot of that is just positioning from the front office to try to maybe entice a trade or get some value there. But we don't know. This is also a team that gave Matt Flynn the bag and then found something in Russell Wilson, so you never know. But happy for Geno. Was not a fan of him when he was drafted. Uh, kind of everything that happened in New York after that. But I certainly, when I hear him talk now and just what he's experienced as an NFL player and kind of his perspective on things, I'm certainly happy for him, and I think it's a good move for Seattle as they continue to build around him. And I mean, you never know what's going to happen in these divisions here. No one thought the Seahawks were really going to be a contender in the West, in the NFC, and they were in it for a long while. So, good for him, good for Seattle, and I like the move.
I'll make mine very, very brief. Happy for Geno for what he did. Uh, the Seahawks would absolutely look for a future quarterback because that's what you're supposed to do.
Of course,
But that's really where it stands. Just happy for him and then just build for your future. That simple.
yeah, there's certainly a lot of intrigue at the top of this draft, especially at the quarterback position. We'll certainly unpack that in the weeks to come because of the draft's the end of April. But here's a rumor: D-Hop, DeAndre Hopkins, aka Nuke, headed to the Cowboys.
Uh, yeah, that's Dez was working out with DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre said he heard a lot of Cowboys fans or people are clamoring for him to come to the Cowboys. Uh, So he was just like, I'm hearing it. If the Cowboys are really, really serious and really want to be a contender, I don't. If I'm going to be open and honest about the franchise, like they've got some really solid pieces. You got Micah, you have Lawrence, you have Diggs, you have some good players on this team, period. I mean, you have CD Lamb as well, Tony Pollard, but he probably will miss all of this year for the most part. Um, you have a lot of good pieces, but you let Amari Cooper walk, and they haven't done, the Cowboys haven't done anything, Sam, that I say that is like, oh, they're really trying to win in the past like 20 years that I've seen them go out outside of like getting TO, which even then I mean, I think that's the last time I'd say they went and try to do something to make it seem like they're trying to win. Since then, they haven't done anything. And I think this would be a perfect opportunity to let their fan base know and energize it like, hey, listen, we're trying to win this. We're trying to give Dak the pieces to win. So if I'm them and it's a possibility to get Nuke, I'm all in. But if history serves me correct, that's probably not going to happen. But if I'm sitting there and I'm working for the Cowboys front office, what do I have to do to get Nuke from you guys? Period. And that's all I would do.
Yeah, I mean it's very possible that DeAndre Hopkins gets cut just based on his contract and
Mm-hmm.
where he is in the length of that contract, and certainly, I don't really know what the expectations in Arizona are going to be this upcoming year. I mean,
Yeah.
Kyler is not going to be healthy to start the year. They have a rookie coach in your boy Jonathan Gannon, and a lot of question marks. So do you save some of that money there? They have the fifth pick or sixth or seventh pick in the draft, something like that. Or no, they pick third. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a huge spot for him too. So
Yeah.
you don't really know what's going to happen, but likely that maybe even D Hop just signs as a free agent there. Um, Heck of a talent if he can stay healthy and be back to his self from a couple years ago. He's had a couple rough seasons, but he still has flashes and shows you why he's was a top receiver in this league for a very long time.
He still is.
Yeah, no, I agree, but
Still is. Mm-hmm.
he's been up and down just performance wise, and off to a slow start last year. He had that PED suspension for miss the first 6 games there too,
Right.
so that factors into last year's equation. And to be honest, Arizona, as we know, was a dumpster fire last year. So,
Yeah.
but this is what happens, Dallas. When I've said it a million times, you can't pay everybody. Couldn't pay Amari there. You have now $28 million invested in the running back position because the Cowboys just tagged Tony Pollard. As you mentioned, probably won't get any run this year just based on him breaking his, what did he do? Break his fibula? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know how long that takes, but I can't imagine that's he'll be ready ready to play in August or September. So, you know, you paid Dak, you paid Zeke, you have some pieces on defense that you had to pay at the time, and that offensive line in its prime was one of the best lines in football, and kind of all goes by the wayside now. But
Yep.
I still think Zeke gets cut, or the smart move would be to cut Zeke. But
I mean, would it be the smart move now with not having Tony?
I guess you're right. I guess you're
Like
right
this
because you
this might have saved Zeke.
maybe, yeah, you're right, and
This
we
might
know
have
how
saved him.
Jerry
Yeah.
feels about him. So yeah, there, be interesting to see. I really at sometimes wish that the draft was before free agency, and sometimes I wish it was after, just to see how some of these things will work out. And you could say the same thing about the NBA, right? It's always weird that the NBA drafts just a few days before the start of free agency. I feel like a lot of things would be different in that regard. But speaking of the draft, moving on, the NFL Combine was in Indy this past weekend, and I we didn't have a podcast last week, but we were chatting last week, and I said, "Watch out for this guy. He is going to show everyone that he is a freak."
You
And
did.
that is Anthony Richardson, quarterback from Florida. Just had a 4.43 40-yard dash and posted a 40.5 vertical leap. Just wild. So if you break down some of these numbers, he came in at 6'4.25". That's taller than George Kittle, weighs 244, heavier than Hassan Reddick, a linebacker, by the way. His hands are 10.5, DeAndre Hopkins' hand size. His vertical's 40.5, as I just mentioned. That's higher than Devontae Adams can jump. And his broad jump, which I believe set a record for quarterback position, he can jump farther than Odell. And this is the quarterback, a project. I mean, he threw some great deep passes, some great balls. But some of the shorter mid stuff is going to be the question mark. Some of the decision making, a lot of scouts feel that could be a point of emphasis too. But when you talk about just raw talent and wrapped into one, Anthony Richardson was certainly the talk of Indy this past weekend.
I think it was, I'm trying to remember who said it exactly. I think it was Todd McShay said that it's split amongst GMs, because there's one half that is basically saying he's a project, like you said, that we drafting somebody this high or drafting quarterback this high and it don't pan out, like you can essentially be the laughing stock of the league, right? But then on the other hand, you could be the laughing stock of the league for passing up on a guy with all these intangibles, and he comes out and he ends up balling out. I really, Sam, if you and I were running a front office and we were sitting down and we were doing player evaluations, I know that our jobs in NFL is very, very short, but I have a way that I feel that I could just talk to people, and I would talk to the owner and I'd say, listen, do you want this to be a well-oiled machine for a long time or a short time? What do you want? And if you say a long time, then you got to trust what I'm going to try to do. Because somebody like him, if you sign him and say, hey, listen, in this contract, we are going to put you with the best of the best to train. We want to sit there and get you around the right people to get you better, but you have to show us that you're ready to do this. Now, I've seen a little of him playing during the college football year. I really didn't pay too much, but I saw how big he was, and I was like, this dude is uber athletic, right? Like, it's just crazy. And he flicks his wrist, and the ball is like 50 yards down the field.
Yeah, he's got some touch for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And he definitely, to your point, he definitely has touch. I really feel that if this young man gets put, he doesn't need to start right away. Give him a year or two, give him even a year, and say, hey, listen, just get with these coaches, talk to them. I'd say my prime example would be Jalen. My prime example, if I'm GM for anybody, it would be Jalen. You heard all that they talked about him. He's not accurate. He's not this. He took the time to go ahead and do that. I was like, you see what he just did? And that would be my point is, do you want to be great in this league or do you not want to be great in this league? If you want to, you have to put the work in on your own.
Yeah. I mean, he has all the gifts. I mean, Jamarcus Russell had all the gifts. Well, to this day, I mean, Todd McShay says one of the best combine or pro days he's ever seen, right? And Jamarcus Russell didn't want to put in the work. Famously, the team would give him tapes or whatever to study, and he would come back, return them, say he studied, and they were never watched because they were blank tapes. And if he knew that, or CDs or whatever, or DVDs, whatever the hell it was, but if he put in the work, it would have been a different situation.
Correct.
Also depends where he goes.
Yes, exactly.
Jalen Hurts ended up in a great position as a second-round pick. A team that was a couple years removed from winning a Super Bowl already had at the time, star quarterback that, they could do a lot with, and some talent on both sides of the ball, and a premier head coach. So
Yeah.
that's the difference. Patrick Mahomes was really regarded in a similar light. I mean, he's not a specimen like Anthony Richardson is, but there were a lot of question marks around Patrick Mahomes' game, and he ended up in Kansas City. And Andy Reid, and the rest is history there. He sat
Yeah.
behind Alex Smith and had the right environment to, but he also put in the work. I
Yep.
mean, Mitch Trubisky was the first quarterback in that draft, and we all, we spent years making fun of Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy. So, it depends where he lands too. But you know, you said he could be the you could be the laughing stock of the league if you pass up on this. I'm not that sure, in the sense of, like, I think any talent evaluator would sign up for this these metrics in a quarterback. You know, will he, put it to, you know, will he pan out? I don't know.
Nobody does. This is the great mystery.
But
Nobody does.
certainly a lot of comparisons to Cam Newton too, just a little shorter than Cam, just a touch lighter. He's got bigger hands than Cam. He could jump farther and higher than Cam. There's a lot of that in there too. Cam, Dante Culpepper, Josh Allen kind of all comes to mind as far, more athletic Ben Roethlisberger in a sense. I mean, this is a big dude playing quarterback, and
I've
certainly you
I'd,
have evaluators drooling a little bit.
I'd also like to just give props to technology and how these players in this day and age, like, it's different from the Joe Namaths and the the Joe Montanas, like those type of John Elway type players. Like, they had great cannons on them, right? Great engines, but they're not these uber athletes, right? This is a different day and age, and these athletes, like, you're seeing quarterbacks like a Lamar Jackson, primarily in the situation, where Anthony Richardson, is that these guys have attributes of a wide receiver, but they can spin the pigskin, right? So it's just like it's a different day and age, and I love seeing it because there's a lot of super athletic quarterbacks, mobile more than anything, and that is making the game, in my opinion, more fun. So super intrigued to see this.
Yeah. Other news coming out of the combine, maybe the first quarterback taken, if not the first pick in the draft, if Chicago moves out, is Bryce Young, quarterback at Alabama, former Heisman Trophy winner. A lot of talk. I think Alabama had him listed at 6', 6'1". Certainly not that. A lot of talk about how would he measure. He didn't throw. He'll throw at his pro day later this month, but
Mm-hmm.
5'10" and an eighth. He's over 200 pounds, which were a lot of concerns that he wouldn't be. So, I mean, as far as he'd be the lightest first round pick at a quarterback position ever, which I found interesting. Closest size comparisons would be Kyler Murray and Johnny Manziel as well. So, from first round picks point of view, but he met with the media and he basically responded with he said, "I've been the size respectfully my whole life. I know who I am and I know what I can do." And
Good,
that's exactly what you need to say, man.
good, good for
He
him.
can't change that. Can't change how tall he is. He
Nope.
just knows that he can play the quarterback position. So interesting there. I mean, you can make the case of, yeah, the shorter guys have worked out in this league. Russ, Kyler, Drew Brees. Will the next one? You don't know. But again, I think a lot of it is where he's going to end up as well. And, speaking of just great quarterback performances, want to mention really quick, CJ Stroud of Ohio State just dropping dimes all weekend. Dan, excuse me, Daniel Jeremiah said it was one of the best throwing sessions he's ever seen at the combine there. And, so that was cool. He really, really nice passes there. Edge rusher Nolan Smith, a guy who I really liked during his time at Georgia and leading up to this process. He, ran a 4.39 40. second fastest 40 time for a defensive lineman since 2003. So see where that edge rusher gets taken. And Bijan Robinson, no doubt going to be the first running back taken. A lot of comparisons to Saquon Barkley, running back from University of Texas. So, the big thing he had to prove was, is he fast enough in this league? Is it just on tape? But, that there was some speed at the combine there. So it's just interesting to see there. So certainly more draft talk as we lead up, and some special guests along the way to talk
Fall
about it.
to the Eagles. Fall to the Eagles.
That'd
Or
be a dream
Eagles.
scenario, man.
It would.
For you
But
guys.
also another dream scenario is if I remember correctly, there's like a freight train that's a free agent from the Titans.
I
think
heard of
it's-
that guy.
Think it's Derrick Henry. They can
Heard
bring
of
him over. I think Derrick Henry's former teammate is AJ Brown. So I mean, maybe they get on the phone and talk and say, "Hey, listen, you see where we went last year, right? Okay." Because Miles Sanders won't be there, unfortunately. That's unfortunate, but
Yeah, this
you know.
free agent class for the running back position is wild.
pretty interesting. Yeah.
So we'll definitely, and free agency's dude, like a week, right? That's gonna
Can't
be wild.
wait. Can't wait.
So this time next week we'll probably be chatting
Mhm.
that up. But switching gears, hey, guess what, dude?
Yes, sir.
I watched a UFC pay-per-view.
About time.
I was pumped. I did not tune in until the co-main event. I was told by one of my best friends, big UFC fan, that I missed a really great card, but I certainly saw Alexa Grasso dethrone Valentina. How do you say her name?
Shovinchenko.
Yeah, Sevenchenko. I saw that. It was wild. There are a lot of
It
times
was.
where I thought Alexa was out, like done, and just shock the world, as you wrote in here. Um, she submitted the 7-time defending flyweight champion, who's now 23-4 in her career, in the fourth round. Close to the end of the fourth round there, and then the main event, and something the sport's been waiting for a long time. John Bones Jones, back after a 3-year hiatus, moved up in a weight class too to face Cyril Gahn, and had a guillotine choke at 2 minutes. Look at me talking.
Yeah,
UFC, I watched it.
Yeah.
Are you proud? Look at that. You're
I
smiling.
am. I
You
am
proud?
I am.
So,
I'm also more proud of John Bones Jones in this too, because
Dude,
2
guillotine
minutes,
choke, 2 minutes, 4 seconds.
4
in the first-
seconds. It was the way he did it, the way he slipped the guillotine in. It was just a work of math. It's crazy because I want to go to a UFC fight and see one of my see him fight or some of my favorite fighters, but I'd be so pissed if I spent so much money to see it end in 2 minutes and 4 seconds. I'd be sick. But to your point, seeing Valentina lose like that to Alexa Grasso, that's why you watch MMA, is because you may think somebody is down and out, and all it takes is one kick, one punch, you slip and fall, they choke you out. It could change in a heartbeat. And that's kind of what happened to Cyril Gahn. He got himself into a situation, he was standing up with John Bones, and then John Bones took him down, and next thing you know, he's up against the cage and he's getting choked out. And that was it. Same with Valentina. She slipped up, gave up her back. Alexa took her back, and it was night from there too. So I'm just super proud that you watched, sir.
Dude, I watched. I was pumped. But I only saw those matches. So
that's fair. I did too.
Okay. I was again, kind of a newcomer to UFC. I mean, I've sprinkled in pay-per-views throughout the years, or with friends. I have a lot of friends that really love the sport, you included. Where's John Jones rank in the pantheon of UFC? Because I was just doing a lot of research on him before and after the fight, and everything I saw, just one of the top, what?
He's a GOAT.
You scared me there.
He's the GOAT, the greatest of all time. He's literally considered by a lot of MMA fighters
Because I
to
heard
be
the
the greatest of all
announcers,
time.
DC, Joe Rogan, and just basically saying he's the GOAT. And that term obviously gets thrown around a lot. And he certainly qualifies. I just didn't know, like, if you were making a Mount Rush, who would be your Mount Rushmore of the UFC or MMA?
That's it's him. It's him. Definitely. George St. Pierre has to be up there. So those two right there. If I'm thinking, and also to a point that you said, because I know you said you really just started to like dive in a little bit more. For DC to say that John Bones Jones is the greatest of all time, that's his biggest rival. Like they hate each other in the
Yeah.
octagon. I don't know how they feel about each other now, but
Did he said that, right? He called him that too, right?
he
Yeah.
bigged him up. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Which is it takes a big man to say that. I mean, he lost those fights against him, but then John went and tested for PEDs after, so there's that. But anyway, George St. Pierre, John Bones Jones. I'm trying to think of who else. Connor would be nowhere near that. I just want to let you know that. Chuck Liddell would probably be up there. Chuck Liddell,
Putting you on the spot here. I don't like to do that.
BJ Penn would probably be in there.
I like it. I know all those names.
I'm trying to think of who else. There's more. Yeah, let's save this for a question because I want some time to really think about it and look at those. But there's no way I'd still think the two greatest fighters ever is John Bones Jones and George St. Pierre. There's no way that I can't have either one of them in there. They're just absolute monsters. So yeah. Oh, and I mean, I probably have to put Stylebender is starting to get in there, and then also Kamaru Usman is up there. So I don't know. It's I have to look at all the defenses, but yeah,
it's got to be a hard thing to equate just based on different eras and much like every sports debate, but eras, fighting style. One's good at this, one's good at that.
I think
does that really play a role?
To me, no, because I mean, a fighter is a fighter is a fighter, right? It's not like the NBA or NFL where it's like different type of freakish athletes. Like you still gotta punch somebody, you still gotta grapple them, you still gotta take them down, you still have to beat that person in front of you. It's you and them. There's nobody else. So I think it's a little bit different in that sense. But yeah, I don't even care about generations. Like you fight. Like it just is what it is. It's just you and that other person. And I think Ronda Rousey would have to be in there too for what she's done for female MMAs. Like she's was an absolute problem. So she's got to be in there as well too.
Well, that was, an engaging UFC corner. I told you I was
this time because Sam has been watching, which is
I
very,
usually
very
just figure out, do you care as you're talking? So, so yeah, that's in the books. Hey, real quick, do you care? The World Baseball Classic tips off. Well, when you're listening to this tomorrow, but Tuesday night. Do you care?
Well, I know you don't because you made that abundantly. You changed it.
I changed my opinion.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna shut the hell up. Go ahead.
We were talking last week. We didn't have podcasts, but we were together and chatting through some things and the future of this podcast and different what we want to do next and how we're gonna do it and bring this podcast to the next level and all of that. Just a meeting, two friends talking about business.
I'm waiting to hear what made you change that after you laid that out.
I said we could talk about the World Baseball Classic, but I don't really care. And I still kind of don't, but I'll watch where I haven't watched in the past. I don't know why. The U.S. team's stacked. Obviously, the Dominican team is stacked. I don't get the same, like, it's certainly not the Olympics, but you did make a great point that I'll just steal from you now. I mean, you are playing for your country, whether it's, it's not on the grandest stage, but it's still baseball. And it may not mean a lot to Americans playing baseball, but Shohei Ohtani just hit 2 3-run home runs in an exhibition game
Yeah.
for
One off his
Japan
knee.
yesterday. The Dominican team is pumped. All these other teams are pumped, and really playing for something here. So it's cool to see. And then I saw the coaching staff too. Mark DeRosa is going to be the manager. Andy Pettit's one of the pitching coach, and Ken Griffey Jr. is the hitting coach.
Ooh, okay.
Gary Manuel and Brian McCann are the bench coaches, and Dave Righetti's the bullpen coach. So I mean, like, that's pretty cool.
I like how you turn this around. It makes me feel good. Yeah, as Sam mentioned, I mean, I do care about it because it's just more baseball, but it's like it's like the all-star teams. It's like the teams like if you think of created teams or ultimate teams in sports video games where you're able to take certain players and put them on your team and then go face other teams, like this is what we're getting, right? We're getting the US, which we know has a lot of all-star players. Sam also said the Dominican Republic, which has got a huge amount of superstars as well. You're getting to see all of this star power compiled onto one team and see if it could win a championship. Like if talent actually can coincide with one another and they can push for a goal. I always love seeing these type of tourneys and doing that, which is why I would love to see like a in-season tourney, as I mentioned before, for the NBA. Like I would love to see like talent like that, just be able to finally show out and do what they have to do. So the first game is tonight at 11 p.m. When we're recording this is the Netherlands against Cuba, right? If I'm correct. So that'd be interesting. I mean, it's 11 p.m. It's past my bedtime. I'll probably be asleep. So I might record it just to watch some of it during the day tomorrow. But my evening will be consistent of watching the MAC tournament and which is on right now. So yeah.
All right. Well, that was Do You Care? We both care. Dude, this US team is stacked. I just looked at the the outfielders for the Dominican team: Teoscar Hernandez, Eloy Jimenez, Julio Rodriguez, and Juan Soto. And then you have Wander, Rafael Devers, Robbie Cano's on the team, which is interesting. Willie
That's very
Adames,
interesting.
Gary Sanchez, and I know on the US team, I mean, you have Mookie, Mike Trout, Kyle Tucker in the outfield, Trey Turner, Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, Tim Anderson, Pete Alonso, JT Realmuto, Will Smith. Pitching isn't as the stud American pitchers really aren't in playing. A lot of them older, Max Scherzer, Verlander, DeGrom, stuff like that. But I mean, you got a lethal bullpen, and the talent's right there. So I'm invested. I'm into it. And that's our podcast. Thanks so much for listening to episode 90, the Chasing Points podcast. For Brandon, my name's Sam. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, peace and happy birthday, Alicia.
Happy birthday, Alicia.